Good evening and welcome to another edition of Jiva Live. We have an amazing show for you tonight. We have none other than Rachel Johnston and Katie O'Connor, former players of Jiva, beach volleyball, stars of Amazing Race, and just amazing people in general. Before we get to the big show tonight, I do want to thank all of you who put out nominations for the AVCA Awards this year. We do have our winners. The committee did meet, did decide those things, and we'll be showing those things and airing those awards in next week's show. So make sure you tune in. Again, without further ado, I want to introduce Rachel and Katie. Rachel and Katie, thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Thank you for having us. We're so excited.
Yeah, thank you so much. We're so excited to be here.
We have a bad habit. Well, I don't know if it's a bad habit, but from being on The Amazing Race, we talk in the we instead of I. We're used to being a team. So we got used to saying, we like this, we like that.
No, that's perfect.
And I like to let Katie talk first.
No, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be great. For those of you that are interested in participating in Facebook lands, the comment section is open. Tell us where you're from, your affiliation, what you're doing, what questions you want answered, whether they want to be Rachel, Katie, myself, or somewhere in between, and we will do our best to get to those. I want to thank already behind the scenes, Erin Laban, with directing our social media department. She has been outstanding throughout this whole pandemic and just doing a tremendous job. So thank you, Erin, and please keep our Facebook feed going. Without further ado, I'm going to open it up kind of with a light conversation. Rachel, what have you been doing to keep yourself busy during, this at-home pandemic, and kind of what are you doing to make yourself a little bit better during this tough time?
Well, I am an essential worker. I've been helping part-time at a domestic violence agency in Ocean County. So I'm able to telecommute sometimes. They were trying to limit people in the office, but we are open and fully functioning. So I've been working, but I really don't mind because there was a period of a couple weeks where I wasn't, and I painted my kitchen cabinets, I gardened, I organized my entire house. So I'm a busy person and I need to be doing that. And I also have been teaching Zumba via Zoom because I was teaching at the gyms and of course they closed, but I need to keep my cardio, who knows when volleyball is going to start.
Nice. So Rachel, where is home right now?
So I am in Mount Laurel, New Jersey.
Okay,
South
awesome.
Jersey.
Yeah. So are the beaches technically open yet, or you still got to follow some certain rules?
The beaches are open. I was actually at the beach last week on that really nice 85-degree day. Social distancing, we couldn't play, but it was really nice to see everybody, and everyone was following the rules. So it was great. Fingers crossed we could play soon.
Yeah, well, fair enough. Now, I assume you've already signed the petition to the governor to open up the beaches and let them play beach volleyball, or you haven't gotten there just yet? Is on the to-do list?
Oh, no. I always signed it. I shared it. I made everyone I know that don't even play volleyball sign it. I just texted it out. So probably the more you can sign, the better.
Awesome. And Katie, where in the world are you right now? Katie and I go way back. I think I met Katie almost like 15, 20 years ago.
Probably.
Yeah. So Katie, where are you right now? What have you been up to?
So I am out in Montauk, New York, which is all the way at the very end of Long Island. We don't usually live out here, but we bought a new house. My husband, myself, and my 1-year-old bought a new house, and we started renovating it, and then coronavirus started. So we had to completely stop. We just have a empty home right now, and we're staying at my in-laws' beach house out in Montauk. So I'm running around after a 1-year-old every day, and my husband's working remotely. So we are staying busy.
Gotcha. Awesome. Well, congratulations on the new house. Congratulations on the start of a new family. Definitely, it's been amazing seeing you go from, a college player back in your days. And I remember you playing in school, to seeing you, develop into, just a great family person. It's been amazing. And Rachel, it's been an awesome time just getting to know you over the first couple hours too. So I look forward to the rest of our conversation. For those of you out there in Facebook world, the idea for tonight is, we want to go from junior years, in Jiva volleyball to how do we end up on the beach, to how do we go to Amazing Race, to how are we just great overall people. So Katie, I'll open it up to you. Where did you first find your love of volleyball? How did you stumble into volleyball? And who did you play for? And, kind of what position were you back in the day?
Okay, I'll try to not make this the longest story it can be. But my dad started playing volleyball just recreationally when he was probably in like his 20s, 30s. And when we were little, he would throw balloons to us and we'd start bumping. So eventually my sister started playing. They're both older than me, and I would like tag along. And I always wanted to play. I was extremely competitive from like a very young age. My parents said I used to you know that Nintendo game I think there was where you had like the running pad and you had to be the tortoise and beat the hare. Like they
Oh, the
said,
power pad. Yeah,
yeah, the
yeah.
power pad. They said when I was even like 4 years old, I would be sweating trying to beat that game. So I was always very intense. And so I would tag along with them at these volleyball games. And if somebody was sick or something, I'd be like, put me in, please put me in. So I started playing just, following in their footsteps. And then as they continued to play, so did I, which was probably the best thing for me because my sister started playing club when she went to high school. So I started playing club when I was in 7th grade. And then I just, really took a liking to it. I got really involved. I started playing every day. I'd be in my backyard, just like throwing balls on the roof and bumping them as they'd come down. Like you did not see me without a volleyball. And then as I kept getting more into it, I got on this really great club team, probably, I think it was my sophomore year. And that was just like some of the best years of my life playing for this club team. And we traveled all over the place. It was the first time I kind of got to experience the volleyball world outside of New Jersey. And my coach at the time, he was like, listen, I'm going to show you how like the rest of the nation plays volleyball. And we went to Vegas and we went to all these qualifiers and we went to California, Seattle, you name it. We went to all these like major tournaments and it was just such an eye-opening experience and it made me love it even more. And like the competitive side of me just kept growing and growing and growing. And I just was on a team with such wonderful teammates to this day who are still friends, who I still check in on and like see now they have families and everything. It's a really cool bond I've created with all these people through volleyball. And a lot of us went on to play in college and I did. So you asked about positions. In high school, I was actually a middle hitter, middle blocker. But in club, I mean, I'm only 5'9", not only 5'9", but I'm 5'9". In club, the team that I ended up playing for, we were really, really good. So I did not have the option to be a middle blocker on our club team. So I started playing libero. And it wasn't just like out of desperation, like, okay, I'll be libero, just put me there, put me anywhere you're going to put me. I actually really like playing defense. I love diving all over the court. That's like, send me out there, I'll just be the scrappiest person. I loved covering and like picking the ball up off of a block, all of that. It was great to me. So I ended up playing libero in club and then libero in college. And I played in college for 2 years and we did great. I was an all conference Division I player as libero, and that was like a huge accomplishment for me. And then I don't know what changed. I think sometimes I wonder if it was like going from this amazing club team that I had where like I loved it so much, if like my college experience didn't quite compare to that, or if maybe it just started to feel too intense, or I don't know, but something changed for me. And it just wasn't what it used to be. So I ended up quitting after my sophomore year. Even though we were a successful team and I was doing great, I was getting playing time, I ended up quitting. And then I started coaching, and that was so much fun. And John, you mentioned earlier that like you've known me for 15, 20 years or something. It was so cool to go into the coaching side of things because when I started coaching, a lot of the people I was coaching with were coaches that I knew when I was a player, and they became friends. And it again was like a whole new side of the volleyball world that I got to see. And I was so passionate about coaching and teaching people and trying to give people the experience that I had and that I remembered from those club years, from that one team that I had. We had gone to Junior Olympics 3 times in a row. We were just like, it was just such great memories and such a great feeling that I had. And I wanted to kind of pass that on. And I ended up coaching for a few years. I did high school, I did college, I did club. And that was amazing. And I had wrote this in my bio about something that's so interesting about volleyball, and my story is that through coaching, I got my first job in Manhattan in real estate. And it was at the Plaza Hotel, which is, it was actually the Plaza Residences because you could live there. There's condominiums. So I started working in real estate there. And it was, an internship I got from a family that I coached, or, the family members of someone I coached. And And from there, I ended up meeting my husband, and because he was also in the same industry, and I got, we got married, obviously, and now we have a child. So I always say it's so funny that I owe it all to volleyball, is that I met the love of my life and got my job, and
That's awesome.
And now I just stay at home with our 1-year-old. I'm no longer.
Yeah. No, volleyball definitely makes the world go round. The world is a great networking place. I just find volleyball people in general to be just great people. And the fact you found your husband and started a family because of volleyball in that crazy connection of ways is just a really, really cool story. So I appreciate that. And we're going to come back to the coaching aspect in a little bit. So I'll go now to Rachel. What's your kind of, your high school juniors highlight reel, being from the South Jersey area, which, until recently, we never had any good players indoor from South Jersey. You guys don't know how to play volleyball down there until now, but Rachel's been there for a while, and Rachel's a heck of a player if you haven't seen her play.
Thank you. Well, yeah. So South Jersey was not on the map at all. I didn't even know clubs for people in middle school existed. When I got to high school, finally I tried out and I made varsity. The coach was not a very knowledgeable person in volleyball. So my mom actually helped him a lot, because I got into volleyball because my mom had been playing since she had me. She got into it recreationally. And she met some people who played on the beach back in JSVBA world. So I started playing parent-child tournaments like once a summer with her when I was like 12. And that atmosphere I really, really enjoyed. And you're on the beach, you're with your friends, you can't really beat that. So I really loved that. But I played 4 years varsity in high school, and I was a setter from the back row and a hitter in the front row. And then club, I played only 3 years, because again, it was so like, my mom was like, we're not driving 2 hours to practice in Pennsylvania. So sorry, you can't play this year. So the years that I did play were, again, some of the best years of my life, going to Penn State for East Coast championships and just traveling with everybody and creating those memories were amazing. And then I went to college. I played D3 at Stockton for 2 years. I was a libero. And again, I met some of the friends that I still have today. Although I ended up transferring and focused more on beach volleyball at that point. Like, I transferred to a school I really wanted to go to, Westchester in Pennsylvania. And I could have played there, but I would have had to be there another year. So I just was like, I'll play in my leagues. I still play at, local 4 leagues and stuff like that. So I knew I would always be playing. So I switched to beach, and that's where I met Katie. I randomly asked her to play. I heard she was so good. And you know what? Everyone was like, she won't play with you, or not just me, just, she won't say yes to anybody. And she randomly just said yes to me. So we became partners, and we were just perfect friends and very competitive. We are the same. So we thought Amazing Race would be a good idea. Went on that, got asked to be on the show. And that was obviously like the best experience of my life, and just a crazy story and memory to have. And again, because of volleyball, just really great. And I never stopped playing beach. So I am practicing this weekend and hoping that we can play soon.
Gotcha. No, that's a great story. And it's so cool how everything kind of ties together. So let's kind of go through this step by step, because, one of the biggest questions we always get from younger people and coaches on the club level is, how did you make your college decision? How much did volleyball or being on a volleyball team weigh in that decision? What guidance or advice would you give to a junior or senior making that college choice right now? So you had, Rachel went D3 and then transferred out to a D2 Westchester school and didn't play. You had Katie went to a D1 school and then transferred out and came back home to Rutgers, I believe, correct?
Yeah.
So, let's go back to that junior and senior year when you're on your club teams. what advice or what guidance, are you looking at school size? Does your coaching philosophy fit with what that coach does? Do you have to mesh with the team? Does Division I or Division III really mean anything versus Division II versus JUCO? What is your mindset and what advice would you give to a player in your shoes now? Rach, you want to take that one first?
Sure. Well, now it is so different. It is like a lot easier to make tapes and to recruit recruit and submit yourself to recruiters and get seen and get scouted than it was back when I was in high school. But at the same time, there's a lot more competition. So, and I've a lot of friends that are really young and like could play at any school they want. One girl is at Hawaii. Shout out Sophia. And I have another girl who's playing D3 indoor. She played at University of the Sciences. Shout out Danielle. So they went different ways too. And now that beach volleyball is a collegiate sport, it's like adds a whole nother factor. So you have to think what sport you want to play. And if it's indoor, do you want the serious route, which Katie said, maybe it's because it was a little more serious because the workouts are harder and the traveling is more and the pressure is a little higher. Sometimes they're giving money, so you have to maintain your scholarship. So there could be a little bit more pressure. But then it's like, are you doing it for the volleyball? Are you doing it for the school? Volleyball is a really great way to get into a school that maybe you want to go to, that your career would be. And that, I think, is a great asset, to use it as a tool to further your education and to make yourself successful, or to use your connections like Katie did, to get an amazing job and career. So I really guess it depends on each player and what they want to do after college, if they know. And then if they don't know, what do they want to do in college? Do they want to focus on playing? Do they want to do a little bit of both? Because if you're going D1, you're going to be really focused on playing, but you have to maintain your school. So there's just a lot of pressure and a lot of things to think about. So depends on your situation.
Yeah, I agree, Ray. Thank you. I think one of the things that people realize is that, we go, oh, D1 is up here, D3 is down here. But it doesn't always work like that. And some D3 programs can rank and battle with the best of D1 programs and vice versa. And I just think people need to keep an open mind that that level of play doesn't necessarily lock you in on where you are. Every school and conference, is very different. So Katie, kind of along the same line. So you got recruited as a D1 player and then transferred away. It sounds like your time was successful in Connecticut, but that you still chose to leave anyway. So do you want to talk about that choice and that decision and, kind of how you got there and then kind of how you left?
Yeah, I've actually thought about this a bit since, over the years. It's been a while now. But when I chose to go to Central Connecticut, I think I wanted to play D1. I was dead set on playing D1. That's just was my goal, and I wanted to achieve that. And so I was laser focused on that. And I chose that particular program because they were a good team. They're in the Northeast Conference, which is a smaller conference, but they were one of the top teams in that conference every single year. So I was excited about that. I just liked the team. I went on my recruiting visit and I loved the girls that I met, and I really liked the coach, and I loved, she told me about the recruiting class she was bringing in, and it just, I was sold based on that. And I think that probably my mistake in where I ended up and why maybe I didn't follow through on all 4 years, because just loving the team wasn't enough, because it's changing personalities, right? It's a 4-year school. You get new people, you lose people each year. It's not the same. So what I liked my first year, my first 2 years didn't stay the same, as I went through. And I didn't love the school enough, and I didn't choose it. I didn't take a holistic view, I guess, when I was getting ready to go to college. I was just so laser focused on the one thing that I really, really wanted. So my advice to people looking right now would be, even though you might really want something, this is your future you're talking about. And so you have to think about, do I like the school? Do they have the program I want to do? And even if you don't know what it is, just make sure that there's more to it than just volleyball, because trust me, I ate, slept, breathed volleyball, and I loved it. I loved every minute of it, and I wouldn't change it. But I think that it clouded my vision, and it made me make decisions that if I was going to do it all over again, maybe I would make a different decision.
No, that's a great answer. What I tell, back in my college coaching years, what I used to tell recruits was, hey, would you come to this school if not for volleyball? And if the answer to that is yes, then this is probably a good fit for you.
Right.
So I think you kind of said, along the same lines. And I think both of you, have proven, you're accomplished players regardless of if you can go to college or not. Now, one of the things I want to track back on, Katie, is you said you were a middle back in high school, but
Yeah.
we know that middles can't pass. So how in the world did you go from a middle to a libero that could pass? Like what forward-thinking high school program or club coach or situation was that? Because I'll even go back as far as, were you one of the very first liberos? Like, was libero even a thing back then, or was that a brand new position?
I think I was one of the first libero. I mean, yeah, I think I was.
Yeah, because I was the same. I was a year too, so you had to be.
Yeah,
the same.
So, John, I was always an excellent, not to brag, but I was always an excellent passer. And the reason is back to how I used to tag along with my sisters. I was always like the runt of the group. So they were like, okay, pass, whatever, like get back in there. And so I just became a really good defensive passing player. And then as I got into high school, the high school game's a lot different than club, just level wise. I played for Union Catholic, which was, their county conference champs. We were every single year. We lost in the state finals every single year that I was there. I will take that with me forever. No, I'm kidding. But in high school, I was able to play as a middle because I am tall enough. And basically what I did to be able to be a front row player, a successful front row player in high school, and I was all conference, all county, and all state as a middle blocker, oddly enough, is I just learned how to hit shots. I wasn't a power hitter by any stretch of the imagination. I do not jump through the roof, although I wish I did. But
You do. She does. She lies.
I learned how to hit shots, and I just became a smart player as a hitter, and that's how I made my way.
No, it's great. And Rachel, along the same lines, like, so was most of your time as a junior player and as a college player spent as a libero or an outside, or what position did you find yourself mostly in again?
I was completely split. So during high school, I ran I don't even remember, a 6'2". So I set from the back row and hit in the front row. But sometimes I would play as a hitter in the back row and someone else would set the whole time. Like it just changed year to year. And then when I was club, I was mainly a libero, but sometimes they let me play all the way around. So I think that's why I like beach so much, because I'm like, very average at everything, because I played a lot of hours at every position. So
yeah, no, and so alluding to that and kind of what I'm leading
except blocking, not blocking.
Yeah, so Rachel and Katie, if I'm hearing you both correctly, a very good amount of your time was spent at the libero position as a predominantly primary pass or serve receiver. Yeah. And Katie, you said you were 5'9". Rachel, how tall are you?
I'm 5'8".
5'8". So we have a 5'8" and a 5'9", on the regular scale of women's height on the taller side. But in the volleyball world, on the average or shorter side, and especially when you get to the beach volleyball world, on the shorter side. So I just want to put it out there that you don't have to be the tallest player in the gym to be good in indoor or in beach. So I'm kind of leading you up to this. 5'8" and 5'9", why could you hang on the beach? And, everybody goes, oh, you got to be 6 foot plus. But you guys kind of prove everybody wrong. What's the magic, formula to that? Rachel, you want to take that one?
Sure. I think that seeing successful people that are smaller, like Holly McPeak and Brooke Sweat and oh my God, I'm drawing a blank. The shorter blonde, whatever, this year. They're extremely fast. They're smart, so just having that inspiration and seeing it. And also it's a mental game. It's also about being smart. So having a good partner and partnership matters. Like I split block, and then I also try to play with taller people. But if I am split blocking or playing with someone smaller, we just play to our strengths. And, it's kind of fun being the shorter team and beating the bigger team. So, it gives you that fire a little more. And being a smaller team, generally you're better at defense. So that's fun too. If you're just pulling on people and they're just swinging at you, and like, I'm sure Katie I remember, we just love it. It's like so fun. So the drive you have to practice, and you just play to your strengths. And if something is working and if it's not broken, just keep doing it, perfect that, and then perfect something else so that, you just keep building and building. And I guess, and you got to serve aces. That's it. I mean,
there you go. Just serve bullets and you're done.
Serve aces down the middle. That's my secret. Sal, everyone knows.
Nice. Katie, same stuff. So what do you find within your game and Rachel's game, were your primary weapons? Like, what made you guys good on the beach to be able, because you guys had a nice run. You guys would consistently get out of pool play and make it to playoffs, and you made some decent runs back in the day. And Rachel, I'm sure you're going to make some soon. What allowed you guys as a shorter team to compete at such a high level?
Well, so the beach game is a lot different from the indoor game. You have a lot more space. You have a lot more options, and we were a very good ball control team. So when you served us, we were 1-2. We already had like a nice setup going. And then we learned how to be smart players. So with like intense, fast, scrappy defense, and then just practicing and getting to know different shots and getting to know that, you don't have to hit the hardest ball on the beach to score a point. We became patient. We started to look at the other defense. We started to talk to each other more. I mean, communication is so important. And, just being a good teammate, I think it makes a world of difference.
I want to chime in.
Go ahead.
Can I chime in? I think having a good partnership is important. Having fun at the end of the day, especially if it's like a beach tournament. Yeah, you're competing for money, or a juniors tournament, you're competing for spots. But you know what? There's going to be another tournament, and Corona will be here for a little bit, so like it looks a little crazy, but like there is going to be another one. And to remind yourself that you're doing it because it's fun. And why is it fun? Because you are going for that hard, aggressive shot. You are playing with your best friend, and you're going to hand set instead of bump set because it's badass. Can I say that as juniors? But so
it's just watching. It's okay.
Having fun is important, really, too, and remembering why you're doing it.
Fair enough. Yeah, no, definitely fun. Pushing yourself to the next level, finding that right mesh and team chemistry. All things you said are huge. So you kind of guys talked about it a little bit already, and I'll go into it. And it wasn't one of the pre-questions, but one of the toughest skills that we try to teach our players is the idea of reading, knowing what the other team or your opponent is going to do before they do it. Do you have any tidbit or ideas, or what are you looking at across the net, or what do you discuss pre-serve or pre-match to go, hey, we know she's going to do this at this time, look for this? Or, even during point, what are you looking at? What are you alluding to? What are you saying to each other? And, how do you teach, or as a player, how do you utilize your reading ability? And I'll leave it to whoever wants to take that question, and you can bounce back and forth.
Well,
Katie, you take it.
Okay, I can speak to reading as an individual defensive player. I think Rachel will probably talk better about reading on the beach. But I keep talking about that club team I played for. That was like a really special experience for me. That coach was the first time I had ever heard somebody talk to me that, as far as I can remember, about reading. And I was like, what are you talking about reading? Like, I can figure out where they're going to hit it before they do. And he was an excellent coach and taught me how to see where the ball is, the ball body positioning, see where the ball is compared to the hitter. If it's out in front, go this way. If it's over their shoulder, go this way. Look how they jumped, look at where the block's being formed. And just with practice of looking at all these different components, and it happens, you know, in a split second. So you just have to trial and error. You need to practice, practice, practice. But you know, just following things like ball body relationship and the flight of the hitter and stuff like that really helped me with reading, and obviously getting to know your blockers and working with your blockers on what shot they're taking away. So I became really good at it just through that coach teaching me some of these principles. But I think Rachel will be able to speak to reading as far as beach volleyball goes better.
Well, I was never drilled in defense or taught much of anything. Even in my club years, I had some training, but it was not on reading really. My mom actually taught me, and the most simple things, as far as don't cheat, just stay in your spot. You know, if you discuss, you know, blocking line or cross, you commit to that, stay in your spot, don't cheat. Of course, be ready and be low, and being low has like changed my life. And anytime I'm not low, I don't get it, or it's not as good, and I am so annoyed. And sometimes it's just because I'm physically tired and I can't get low. But more often than not, that's why I mess up. Or if watching the ball, like Katie said, ball to body relationship, and essentially same thing, very simple, watch the ball the whole time, like really watch the ball. You can see the hitter in the periph next to the ball, you know, so watching the ball is just so important, and not cheating and believing in yourself, like having confidence that you're fast enough to get that short shot. You don't need to cheat, you know, and if they tag that back line over that hitter and tags the line and you don't get it, they're allowed to get that shot. You know, you can't get them all, and just try your best, and that's it. Like, believe in your defense. And if they beat you, that's 1 point, just go ace them the next point. It's like, try to get it the next time. That's all you can do. But watch the ball, stay low. Those are my main tips. Yeah, don't cheat.
Nope, I agree. I hear every coach in my past talking to me in my head right now as well. So no, those are perfect. So I want to go back a little bit. We've talked about beach a little bit. We talked about reading. Do either of you remember either the very first time you played beach volleyball, or you kind of alluded to it before, the very first time you played competitively together, or the first real tournament you played together?
I vaguely remember the first time that I met Rachel. I had been playing with one of my former club teammates, and she didn't really like it that much, so I was kind of dragging her out there. And I do remember Rachel asked me to play, and I was so shocked. I mean, it's funny to hear from her perspective that she was like, oh, she'll never say yes, because I was so excited that she asked me to play, and I was like, okay, of course. And then we had so much fun. It was such a fun. We have a very similar personality, and we're both competitive. We both want to win, and it's nice playing with a like-minded person who shares that, because then you don't feel crazy.
Right.
So Rachel, anything on that? Do you remember like a particular, one of your first tournaments, or do you remember breaking out of pool play for the first time, or the struggle of that and how you guys developed as a team, like in the early years?
I definitely remember all of our games were always so close. Uh-oh, I'm gone. I'm low battering it.
The model, sorry. So that was one of her modeling shots.
What? Oh God. Oh yeah, I'm yelling at the phone. What was I saying? Katie, first time I met her. I don't remember exactly our first tournaments, but I'll remember all of our games were always really close, really competitive, and yeah, very like-minded. And Katie's not the earliest bird. And so I remember one time I'm on the court, they're like, your game has to start. Like, come on, where's your partner? I'm like, I don't know. I don't remember what you were doing. Maybe you were taking a test and I was trying to stall for you.
I went to school to become a teacher, which I didn't end up doing, but I was taking the praxis one morning. But me being very whatever, I was like, don't worry, I'll make it for the beach tournament. I'll meet you there when I'm done. So I went to take the praxis that morning, and Rachel's like literally standing on the court. I'm in traffic, losing my mind, like going down the parkway, like, come and they're taking a point away from us or giving a point to the other team for every minute that I'm late, right?
Yeah. Or they were threatening to at a certain time. So like, I think they might have started, but I see Katie running down the boardwalk with nothing. She's like her pants, like she's taking her pants off mid-run, runs on the beach, stands on the court, we play. And I'm pretty sure we won. Like
probably because
like not the tournament, but at least that game. She was like, I'm warm, I'm hot, I'm ready. Like, let's go. So
best way.
Yeah.
So classic. But I love it. I love it.
The other thing I remember about the early years is I mentioned that we're both very competitive and we were very intense. And I remember being like angry anytime we lost, like punching the sand. So there was a growth process, a maturing process from when we probably started playing when I was like 19, 20. You started before.
Yeah.
So I definitely used to have little fits on the court and had to grow out of that.
No, a kid from Jersey or Long Island, never any fits, or South Jersey. No, we all are perfectly mannered people without a doubt.
Listen, I never
normal
volleyball across the beach out of anger, so.
Never once.
Yeah.
Nice. So for our younger viewers and for college coaches, the indoor game is obviously very different than the outdoor game. Did you find any rules or modification or the court size? The lack of being able to open hand serve receive, the blocking rules, the two-touch rule, or the changes in beach rules difficult to adjust to? Or was it because you were both liberos and you were just platform pass, platform pass, platform pass, was it an easy adjustment, or do you still struggle with some of the rule changes?
I think Katie should take this because she played more like back-to-back beach, indoor to beach at a high level. So
I know I had friends anyway that had a difficult time doing the transition from indoor to beach and ended up not liking it at all. It just wasn't their thing. Your spatial orientation is so different. You're no longer playing in a gym with a roof and walls. So when the ball goes up, you start spinning in circles like, where is this thing? So you're tripping over your own feet. And like I said, the shots are different. Not everything has to be this hard hit. You have all these different cut shots and everything that you could use and that people are using against you. So it's a lot to adjust to. And I do feel, I'd be interested to hear what a front row dominant, or, predominant player would say. But I do feel being a libero was an advantage at that because I didn't have my hitting strength to rely on. So it was kind of fun for me to experiment with like getting to know all these different shots. And because I was already trained in reading, it was fun to kind of see a player go up and drop their elbow and in my head saying like, I know they're going to go short. So running up and digging that. And it was like, you have all this space now to just, on an indoor court, there's 6 players. So, you're not getting into this person's area necessarily. But if I see it, I'm like, I'm going to make the best dig right now. And they're not going to even see me coming. So I love that sort of part of it. And I think being a libero is helpful in that situation. But don't get me wrong, I would love to jump over the net and pound the ball down someone's throat. But yeah, you kind of, for me, I learned it was a great opportunity to learn and kind of soak in all this knowledge, because when you get on the beach, you kind of have to do that. You can't just play like an indoor player.
Mm-hmm. So Rachel, same question. Anything that gave you a difficult time outdoors, or you pretty much adjusted pretty easily, or?
I personally adjusted a lot easier because I am not a big hitter indoor. So it's like, I'm not that effective. So finally I feel like effective, like, woohoo, I'm getting a shot, even if I don't get like a big hit. So I personally loves it. I love it because, if you're better at something, you tend to like it more. So, but I still, if I still play on a fun fours team, and, once in a while I'll try to dig a ball that's not hard driven to like a set. And, if it's clean, it's clean, but, I don't ever want to just argue with refs. So I'd rather just not be doing that, so, and I see that a lot of indoor players will try to set, shots because they're not used to, or they don't know how to pull. So that's kind of funny because, you know, we'll just set really off and then they'll just be standing at the net like, oh no, because there's, you know, no roof and only one other person. And so
so the question on lose
it is definitely an adjustment, but the taller players might have, or any player are going to have the wind adjustment, of course. But it comes down to ball control. So if you're tall, you know, you have to adjust your hitting, but once you get it, it's probably really fun. And like, once you're thinking about the wind too, it's all kind of like math, making sense, and, you know, the angle of the ball. But
so
once you get it.
Did your indoor game make your outdoor game better? Or did your outdoor game make your indoor game better, or a little bit of both?
I think I started technically like watching beach more. Originally, like when I was really young, I would go to tournaments at my mom's tournaments and just watching and knowing the game, just like liking that game. I did use that indoor, like Katie said, she was a middle, not that big, but she relied on her shots. So same thing. I was an outside, but I did a lot of cuts. I did a lot of shots, or like short over the block, because I was used to that from beach. So I think that helped me. But usually the transition is from indoor to beach. And if you have good ball control, it should be a little bit smoother. So if you can focus on that as a junior player, or look for that as a coach, that would be like an easier transition.
John, when I first started playing beach and I wasn't playing with Rachel, her mom used to beat me all the time.
Oh yeah.
I was playing open, and her mom was your mom like queen of the beach at some point? I feel like she was.
My mom actually, well, she was queen of the beach last year with her friends at a thing. She still plays AA, and she played open last year with my sister, and they were on my net. And if she wasn't on my net, she would have made playoffs because I had to beat her. I would die. So I had my partner make sure we won. So, but she's amazing. She's still so good. You know, it's a game you can play forever. And like, Absolutely. You just have to be smart and ball control and but yeah, she would beat Katie.
Yeah.
Hey, it happens.
She almost beat me and Katie, I think. Maybe.
Well, it's a surprise that Rachel's so good. It's I think it's a big advantage when you have a parent who plays like that, because you obviously idolize them and you want to be like them. And she was a great role model for me too.
Awesome. Aww. Yeah, bottom line, if you've been listening, we just learned two amazing things in this last little conversation. Number one, volleyball is a lifelong sport that you can play for a long time at a pretty darn high level. And number two, you know, the idea of vision and being able to hit various shots is huge. And I talk to my players about this all the time. There's a difference between knowing how to score and just hitting the ball hard. If the defense gives me something and there's a free point to be taken, then take it. You don't have to hit the ball hard every single time. And you see that even more on the beach. So Katie, would you say that's kind of part of your game is, hey, you're going to give me that easy cross-court shot, shortcut. I'm going to take it. Why am I going to hit the ball hard?
Oh, yeah. I started to notice on the beach in particular, when I would hit the ball hard, I was getting dug because the angle wasn't sharp enough and it wasn't fast enough that it was difficult for my opponents to dig me. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to outsmart them if I can. And it was cut shots, line shots, whatever I could do. And we talked about this earlier when you asked how, as a libero, I was able to be a middle blocker in high school. And I mentioned I think I was all Conference County State as a middle blocker for high school. And I think most of my senior year, everything was shots, tips, dumps, all sorts of crafty little things going on. And probably a small percentage of it was hard driven balls.
Yep, understood. Rachel, same ideas. It's just some good basic understanding of the game.
Yeah, even when you are a big hitter, I mean, it is fun and okay, fine. Like once in a while, go ahead, but listen to your partner. If your partner says swing middle, you can still hit the ball really hard. Maybe it won't be as hard as if you're hitting cross or line, depending on your body. But okay, fine, swing. But it's still fun. So still have fun and but just be prepared to get dug. but have those shots as a big hitter. Start with the shots. Don't give it away too soon. And then when you can pound the ball, pound it. You got to do it when it's there. But to be successful, I mean, watch Carrie Walsh, watch April Ross. They hit when they have it, but when
they don't force
a
it.
lot of the rallies are when they're getting dug, right?
Yep.
You don't want to rally. You want to end the point. Boom, shot.
Rachel said it very well before when she said, if it's not broke, don't fix it. But when it is broke, fix it. And that's the thing that I had to learn on the beach was that coming up and trying to slam the ball just wasn't working for me. So you have to find another way, because otherwise you're just like a mouse on a wheel, just killing yourself trying to get these points, and it's not going to work. So you have to figure out another way.
Yep.
Yeah. And speaking of another way, now the game is evolving. I play with different partners every weekend. Sometimes I have a big blocker, so I play defense the whole time. Other times I'm split blocking. Sometimes I'm playing with someone who's not really a blocker. So like sometimes I'm up there and I'm not that big. So, we're just running around playing defense, but you have to just adjust and play to your strengths.
Awesome. So, all right, now we're totally going to make a big pivot right now because we only probably have about 15, 20 minutes left. So you guys are great high school players, club players. You got a nice stint in college. You now go to the beach. How in the world do you get yourselves roped into doing something like the Amazing Race? And who wants to how did that start question?
You want me to go, Rach?
Yeah.
So we started playing on the beach together. We became best friends. I remember, Rachel asked me to play volleyball with her, which was like the first thing. But then we were playing volleyball together and she'd be like, hey, do you want to go out tonight and hang out? I'd be like, okay. So like it went from being partners to being friends. And we would just be like, peppering before a game, just sitting, on our side of the court and talking, waiting to get started. And I guess one day one of us said like, oh yeah, I really like the Amazing Race. And the other one was like, no way, so do I. And my sister, so my family, we rented a beach house in Point Pleasant Beach every single year for like 30 years or something. So my sisters used to come and watch us all the time. My oldest sister was sitting there listening and she's like, you guys should try out. And we're like, oh, that's crazy. That's crazy. So she goes online and she sees that there's an open casting in Yonkers, was it?
I think it was far, a little bit far. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm in South Jersey. So I was like, whoa.
And so she says, it's this week, you guys should go. I skipped all my classes and I don't attend school all the time. And we just decided to go and audition. And when we got there, there was probably like 500 people.
There was a lot of people. I don't even know how many. I can't even. It was like at a casino and it was like all day.
Yeah.
Line.
And we waited this whole time, and there's all these like kooky people because, a lot of people go, if you're an Amazing Race fan, like there's oftentimes like a shtick that the team has, they're, I don't know.
Married, sisters, golf buddies. Yeah.
So a lot of people dress the same or whatever. So we wait this whole time on this big long line. We get in front of the camera and we think they're going to like ask us questions, and they just say, okay, go. And Rachel and I were just like, we're friends and we play volleyball, and we spoke a million miles per minute.
We blacked out. I don't know what know what we said. The
camera went off. She just said, I blacked out. I have no idea what happened. Like that is a quote. And so we were like, okay, there's no way we're getting on this. And then they called us and they were like, we really like you, so now we want you to send us a video. And we're like, okay. So we made a video and we sent it in.
And it was hard back then to make a video, just FYI. VHS video. Okay.
It was a VHS video. And then they kept saying like, okay, now you're in the top 200. Now you're in the top 100. If you make it to the top 30 teams that we're considering, we're going to fly you to LA. You can't tell anybody, like this is top secret. Do not tell one person, we could sue you. Like maybe they didn't say sue you at this point, but it was like top secret. And then we flew to LA and we went to the final casting where it was, I think, the final 30 teams they were considering. And Rachel, do you want to talk about that at all?
Yeah, we were. I know that. My battery keeps going. We were flown out. We were asked to be there for a week to, do all kinds of interviews to see if we were going to get picked. It was great. They were like, be yourself. We like your personalities. You curse if you want, like wear black, we like that you're from Jersey and we love that you're beach volleyball players. Apparently that's what they were looking for, beach volleyball players. And it just worked out that we were from the East Coast, which was like a little bit different than a classic like California player, you know what I mean? So they just liked us, and we were so lucky we got on. So
that would be
was great
thing though, because we had an alias. Because like I said, when you were there, they didn't want you to talk to any of the other contestants, because the first time you're on camera, they want you to legitimately meet them. So when we were at the hotel, we had an alias, we had fake names. We could eat during a certain time, so we didn't go near the other players. We could go to the pool during a certain time. We could work out at a certain time. And then if we saw anybody, we had to like just be like really quiet. And other than that, we just stayed in our room for a week straight. It was like
babysitters with us. That's why we were quiet. So we would talk to them if we had a choice, but they were like babysitters and people outside of our rooms to make sure we didn't like, I guess, talk to the other potential contestants or to make a bond for the future,
Got it.
The moment that we thought we got on was they kept sending people home. Like every day we would see like a new person going home. And then the last day we were there, they're like, okay, you have to come see the doctor and we're going to give you vaccinations for malaria and yellow fever and all this stuff. And we're getting them. And I'm like, do you think this means we're on? Or are we just getting these shots?
Yeah, we didn't really actually know we were on yet, but when we were getting those shots, I pass out. I'm like scared of shots. So we leave the room with our babysitter. We're supposed to be going back up to our hotel room, and I have to lay on the floor outside because I'm like weary because of all these shots. And they took our blood. So I was like just lightheaded and just weirded out from the blood. So they're just laying on the middle of the hotel and Katie's holding my hand. These are the memories I have of that.
We're strong enough for this.
Nice. I will say at this time, Katie was actually coaching for our club. And I remember talking to our club director and him saying to us, all right, guys, Katie had to leave and I can't tell you why, and you can't be mad at her. And we're all going, she just bailed on our team? Like, I don't understand. What could she possibly be doing? Like, this is not cool. And then, 3-4 months later, when we figure it out, we're like, all right, that's okay. Like, we understand.
Yeah.
And my team that year qualified for Junior Olympics. So I left during Penn State, right before Penn State. I didn't go to Penn State with the team, and I came back right before Junior Olympics and went with them to Reno. It was.
And I'm pretty sure, Katie, didn't you quit grad school for that?
Not because of Amazing Race, because I got my job, what ended up being my career.
I guess it was the timing. I just assumed.
Gotcha.
So that's a lot to everybody.
Amazing Race story. So now you get on the show, you take your shots. Where do you guys go? Where does the show take you to? What events or obstacle did you find the most amusing? A little story we may not know from behind the scenes. What was your learning from just being on the show in general?
You want me to go?
Yeah.
So I remember we left. Nobody can know maybe like three, just our immediate family pretty much. And we fly out and we fly to Boston, right? And again, we're in
we're having technical difficulties.
Okay, I'm back.
Oh, there we go.
Go for it, Katie.
So we went to Boston. We had no idea what to expect. We didn't know if we were starting in Boston or if that was like a decoy, because everything is so tricky. Like they try to throw you off. They don't want you to know what's coming. But we ended up starting in Boston. And from there we flew to London. England. Yes, we flew to England. Rachel was the driver. She had to drive on the opposite side of the road, a stick shift.
I learned like 2 weeks before when we found out we were going. So I had my friend who has a Porsche teach me.
And
on a stick shift, yeah.
We definitely got stuck on many hills in England on these like little English back roads, and I would get out and like try to push us up, and we made it work though. I think we got fourth that first leg. Rachel did the challenge. She had to launch a watermelon into what was it?
To knock over a knight in shining armor. And I don't know if you guys remember that year, but there was like a girl who got hit in the face from that in the watermelon from that challenge, and it was like viral. I did not get a hit in the face, thank God. But it was crazy.
And then during that leg, we had to go to Stonehenge for one of our clues. And so that's, I don't know, that's like a huge thing. People go there to see Stonehenge, right? And Rachel and I went to Stonehenge. We did not look at it one time. We ran.
I was running and I whipped my head to look to make sure that I saw it, because you're just go.
Me with my laser focus, like I was explaining before, where like I can't focus on more things, like once I make a decision on something, that's what I'm dead set on. I did not look at Stonehenge once. I ran, I got the clue, and we left, and I was like, oh my God. So that happened. After that, we went to Africa. We went to Ghana, and that was like crazy. That was eye-opening, just like being there, just seeing how we were in the city, the downtown, and the way that some of those people lived. It was just very eye-opening, and it was, I feel grateful that we got to experience it and just saw how people from that area lived and how different it is from us. And while we were there, we actually also did some community service. They gave us an opportunity to go and paint a church. So we got to meet school children there and help fix up their school and everything, in addition to obviously doing the race. So that was really cool. We had some hard challenges in Africa, and it was so hot. We got to the finish line in Africa, and the host was like, "You guys are very sweaty." Like, we are.
Awesome.
Ghana was definitely the hardest leg for me, just frustration wise and hotness wise. I think they were chasing me around trying to give me an IV because I was, really hot, borderline passing out from running up and down. But I didn't want to give up, and I didn't want the IV because it would take a long time. So Katie was like pouring water. I was like, Gatorade, Katie, Gatorade, I'm passing out. And she saved the day, and I made it. We did it. We got it.
Sorry, someone has a lawnmower. I hope, is that loud?
No, you're good. You're good. We got you.
Okay, if you need to mute me, Rachel could tell the rest.
No, these are great stories. I mean, it's, I remember, vaguely, again, we're talking about a couple of years ago now, but you guys made a nice run. I mean, honestly, I thought you guys got gypped there a little bit. I'm not going to brag, but, it happens, and it's a game show, and they do their thing. I guess the tough question would be, how much of it do they mold your character versus who you really are? Where does the script go? Are you okay with the script and what actually showed up on TV? And how much it was really you versus how much it was, not you?
Well, to your point, we did get gypped at some points because in Africa, we were second on one leg, and we missed first place by literally seconds. And they are producing a show, so there's only so much they could do. But what happened was the team that beat us, they never settled their cab. They never paid their cab driver. They just ran out, and they went to the finish line, and they got first place, and they won 2 free tickets to Hawaii. But we settled our cab, so technically we should have won that. Yeah. But there's little things like that do happen. And I guess there's only so much that they can do because it's a massive production of like so many people. So we're not totally mad about it, but there's stuff like that. I think that, they show who you are, but they definitely edit it to, you say so many things. You're videotaped, and you're followed by a videotaper, I don't know. And
cameraman.
Cameraman. You're followed. There's 2 people with you at all times. So everything, you don't see them obviously when you're watching the show, but they're with us the entire time. So, one time we went to get out of our car, and the door wouldn't open, and our cameraman threw his camera out and dove through the window. He was like, just go. Like, they are troopers. They would not let you lose because of them.
Because we have to wait for them. They have to be with us. We can't just go get the clue. We have to have them with us. So.
Right. So they're getting a lot of footage of you. So you're saying all sorts of stuff. You're being nice. You're being mean. You're being, maybe not everybody's being mean. we were mean at some points. And they definitely showed certain aspects more than others, which is fine. And it is all stuff that you do, but they obviously pick and choose the footage that they want, right? Would you agree?
Yeah, yeah, and they definitely ask specific questions if they have like a storyline in their head, or they want to have footage of you talking about this that might have happened, if there might be some kind of drama or whatever. You know, at the end of the day, it's a show, and yeah, we are a little bit, or I'm still a little better about that Hawaii thing, but you know, it is a show, and that's just how life is. Like, life isn't totally fair and equal. And, you know, you can only be upset about the things that you can control yourself. And if the producers, you know, each person, everyone's human. So you just have to deal with it and accept it and, you know, move on.
And we ended up also going to Sweden and Norway before we got eliminated. And we had really good points, so we did really great. And you know, the end was tragic. We both cried. Wanted to win so badly. We really believed that year was the first female winners, and we really wanted to be the first female winners. It was, you know, ours. So we were so upset. But one thing that I will say that I learned is, and I think that this would help in volleyball and just in life, is to be confident in your decisions. And that's one thing that I think at that point in my life, I was only 23, is when we were on the show, I probably deferred to Rachel a lot, which is a good thing because she was more of like, okay, let's do this. But I wish that I knew what I wanted, you know what I mean? Instead of just being such a deferential person at that moment, and just like, and you know, like kind of went with my gut too, because I don't know, you look back and you see how other people behaved. I see how other teams were like, you know what, we have a funny feeling about this, so we're going to do this. And I remember Rachel saying that to me at one point, and I was like, no, we're fine. Let's just stay on this flight. Like, they don't have anything that we don't. And I was wrong. Rachel was right. And I wish that I didn't play scared. And that's a volleyball lesson. Don't play scared. I don't think
Katie plays scared. I think it's a team thing too, because guess what? What if we did that? What if my feeling was wrong? You know, hindsight's 2020. So like, you are a team. I honestly didn't even remember that as a thing. I know I probably tried to say like, let's be risky, but I don't even remember that because it was such a team experience, and that's how volleyball should be too.
Absolutely. No, I think, you know, the message you guys sent in that amazing race, the things you've taught young people and coaches today, I think are amazing. You know, play without fear, you know, control the controllables. Don't worry about the things you can, you know, being able to read, you know, without a doubt, some great lessons. So what I'm going to do now is kind of wrap up the show. After I'm done talking, I'm going to kind of give you guys your last words, any last lessons, insights, any plugs you want to do, you're more than welcome. And then we'll kind of go from there. So ladies and gentlemen in the audience and Facebook and around the world, you know, thank you for another great edition of Jiva Live. We have so enjoyed having Katie and Rachel on the show. Those of you in Facebook world, thank you for your insights and your questions. Aaron LeBan fed me questions via WhatsApp link the whole time. I don't even know if Katie and Rachel realized that a lot of those questions came from Facebook world. So thank you for those. Aaron LeBan, thank you for all the work you do behind the scenes. And again, I repeat, next week are going to be the AVCA regional awards. Those of you that get regional awards are going to be pushed to the national level for AVCA. And our guest next week is Aaron Virtue, assistant coach of the men's national team. So that'll be a really cool show. Please tune in next week, and it'll be awesome. My name again is John Titus, for those of you that didn't get in the beginning of the show, because I forget that all the time to introduce myself. But with that said, you have before you Katie and Rachel, two amazing volleyball players as juniors, high school players, went through the Jiva region as both adults and juniors. And, you know, Rachel continues to tear it up on the beach series. Katie did, and maybe she'll get out there again, who knows, but was an awesome coach in her own right and now starting a great family. I couldn't be more proud of her as a colleague and friend. And Rachel, you know, I look forward to our relationship going forward, and definitely please stay in touch. Put it to you, Rach. Any closing words or remarks or ideas?
I just want to say thank you so much for having me. I hope that our advice helps some people. You can always reach out to me on social media if you have any questions or, just it's quarantine. So if you're bored. And yeah, play with no fear, be confident in yourself and take care.
Rachel, are you teaching a Zumba class we should be aware of?
I'm sorry?
Are you teaching a Zumba class we should be aware of?
So I teach my free Zumba classes once a week. I post on my Facebook. They're just free via Zoom. It's the classes that I teach at LA Fitness, and I have a few other instructors that teach throughout the week too. It's one of the ways I stay in shape during quarantine, and it's really good cardio the whole time. So
awesome.
Yeah, join
so
me.
those of you that are interested in Rachel's Zumba class, please look her up on Facebook, is it, or Twitter? Facebook, right?
Yeah, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram.
Fair enough. Awesome. All right, Katie, I thought we lost you there. My heart fluttered a little bit. Glad to see you're back. Are you there? You are there. All right, we just switch over to the phone. Katie, can you hear us?
I'm here. Sorry, my computer died. I'm on my phone now.
No problem. I'm glad you came back. So, Katie, we're just acknowledging, closing remarks. Any last insights or tidbits you want to give to the viewers?
Well, I just want to thank you so much. It was so nice catching up with you and Rachel. It's always great seeing you. And it was really fun to talk about all these old volleyball memories. I guess I'll just leave with like a nice, happy sentiment that volleyball is, my volleyball years were the best of my life and I have my best memories. And that spans everything from playing and coaching. I feel so fortunate to get to know people like you, John, and to coach with you and all of the other colleagues that we worked with, being at tournaments at Penn State and seeing the other side of it, what coaches do and how much you put in and how much you think about and care about your players. It's really nice. It's really rewarding to do. So the volleyball world is big and there's a lot of networking and there's a lot of people to meet. And I just think that if you're in it, appreciate it and stay open and meet people and stay positive. It's a fun group to be a part of.
Awesome. Well said, Katie. Thank you very much. Again, Katie, Rachel, thank you very much for this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, another great episode of G Live. See you next week. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.